If you will allow me just a few moments to climb up on a soapbox and talk at you, I'm going to share the top 5 content repurposing mistakes that will cost you time, money, and most importantly, your credibility. So let's get right to it, shall we? Number 1, the biggest sin in terms of content repurposing that I see is putting a podcast on YouTube. And that means taking the audio, slapping an image on it, and putting the whole kit and caboodle right on YouTube without any other thought or consideration for the differences between how people consume podcasts and how they consume videos on YouTube. I do not like this. This is not a good use of your time, and it's definitely a waste of your YouTube channel. Number 2, YouTube or video transcriptions as blog posts. This one is also really bad. The energy of a video, of speaking live, the way you speak, the way you communicate when you're doing it with your voice to kind of an implicit audience that can hear you and respond to you is very different than your voice and the energy when you're writing and kind of the mind headspace of the reader who's going to be reading your blog post. So taking something that is meant to be really seen and heard and just shoehorning it into the written word when it's not necessarily supposed to be there is not going to give the experience that a blog reader could be expecting from your blog content. Number 3, blog posts as podcasts. So there are content creators who will write a blog post. It's a great blog post, really good, engaging, full of lots of rich links and wonderful things. Have it read out loud or read it out loud themselves and put it on iTunes as a podcast. Now, I do think that providing audio versions of your blog posts is a great accessible idea. I really like that. But that doesn't make them podcasts. Podcasts are different. They've got different branding. They've got different energy. They've got different styles of calls to action that they need. And the way that someone is listening to podcast content is very different than the way someone is reading blog content. And you also will probably have a good number of people who are subscribed to both of those platforms for you. And you don't want to be feeding them the same content again and again across places. That's not going to be as likely as many other situations, but just taking that blog post, reading it out loud, and calling it a podcast like it's a standalone piece of content, no. Number 4, live streams on YouTube. All right, live streaming is huge, and I'm not talking about the live streams that kind of come through YouTube's platform. That's well and good. That's what they are designed for. But taking your Facebook live stream and dumping it into your YouTube channel is not such a good idea. We all pretty much know that, Facebook live streaming is just Facebook's way to keep us off of YouTube. But the engagement that you can get there with people who are in your Facebook community can be great. It can be a great way to test out ideas, to answer questions, to build relationships with your audience, because on Facebook Live, they're there with you live, and there is that two-way dialogue, and that is a really wonderful thing. When you take that two-way experience and you pop it onto YouTube, where you're not having a two-way experience, it's a one-to-many experience. It is not a conversation that you're having, even implicitly. You're presenting content. This is one-to-many. And what you should be asking people to do, how you should be responding to things, is going to be different. And the way that you talk when you do have that kind of implicit two-way dialogue that a Facebook live stream is going to give you is going to kind of feel weird and off to your YouTube subscribers who are going to be listening to this at a totally different time. This conversation that you're having was not with them, and that is problematic. And that's really similar to number 5, which is webinars and live calls delivered and put behind a membership area as course content. I hear this one a lot, and I do not like it, even a tiny bit. That is when you are taking a live webinar, when you're teaching something, maybe as part of a sales process, maybe not, and putting it as part of your course or part of your paid content. There are a few times when this is a great thing to do. If someone missed a webinar, for example, they want to see the replay, cool. But making that the bulk of your premium content, when it was, again, that kind of one-to-many dialogue that you were creating, that live teaching event, it's not the same. It's not the same energy. It's not the same experience for someone who is listening, has paid you money, and is listening to this later as a recording. And it's also a huge wasted opportunity, because when you're doing live presentations, people can be asking questions. They can be following up. They can be getting really excited about certain things. And if you're going to be charging for information products, you should be taking that feedback that you get from live and moving it into, including it in the finished versions that you are selling and charging people for access to. All right, those are my top 5 villains in the realm of content repurposing. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Were you able to keep up with me as I talked very, very, very quickly? Let me know in the comments, and if you want an exhaustive resource on how to repurpose your content effectively, you can click through, get Create, Repurpose, Share, Grow, which is the new offering from One Stone Creative, and don't forget to like and subscribe.